Hello and welcome to your weekly pod here on Four Lads and a Dream. My name's Andrew, and a bit of a quiet one tonight. Just me and one of my very favourite podders, Kenny, tonight to go through. Yeah, I can't think why we had a lack of volunteers for tonight, Kenny, with Rangers putting in a traditionally stunning performance for us again, conspiring to lose 2-1 at home to Motherwell. Just again, self-inflicted errors. To be honest, folks, we don't have a lot new to say on it because I don't know how many new ways we can find to say Rangers are just not a very good team at the moment. And the sooner the takeover comes, the better. But nonetheless, we are going to dig into it, Kenny. What did you make of that performance come the weekend?
Yeah, yet another abomination, isn't it? It's just first half is absolutely pathetic. Embarrassing, actually, for everybody concerned. You feel for Barry Ferguson, to a certain degree, because you're not getting a tune out of this team. Nobody's going to get a tune out of this team. Individual errors, basic mistakes, just an absolute inability to do the basics, in any correct way. They picked up a little bit in the second half, Andrew, but nowhere near the levels you would expect from a Rangers team. And you get the feeling, without being too severe about it, that I think an awful lot of them have just checked out, Andrew, and this season's over for them. Yeah. I think I said it last week or the week before that I had the feeling then that I felt that a few of those players considered that they had 2 games left to play against Fenerbache, and if they get through them, they might have another 2 games to play, and that was about it. And to be honest with you, you know as well as I do, it's one of those kind of running jokes that we have about being in danger of repeating yourself, and this season's just been one of those seasons, Andrew, where you just sit and think it can't get any worse, and it's just got progressively worse.
Yeah.
I don't know what you feel about that, but that's my kind of take.
No, I think you're right. We were comfortably winning at home and failing to win anything away, and now we can't win anything at home, and we're picking up really good results away from home. So, the biggest feeling for me, and probably my closest reference point for it, was the 24-2015 season when winner Dave King was coming in, and so we had off-the-field news to be excited about. But at the same time, the on-the-field stuff was dire. I mean, that squad was finding new lows as well. And it very much feels like this, where a lot of these players know they don't have a future here. We still have players in the squad, players coming onto the pitch who have been told that they don't have a future here anymore. So, I mean, from a certain perspective, I get it from the players, because if you know you're not staying around at this job, you're not going to bother, really, are you? Like, you're leaving.
No, you're not. And
it's a human instinct to just go, okay, well, I'm not going to break my nuts to do the work here.
No, you've got guys like Yanis Hadji playing every single week, clearly not going to be staying. Tom Lawrence clearly not going to be staying, getting a game. There's guys like Robin Proper who are literally like a fish out of water. They're quite clearly a bad actor in the wrong movie, and there's a number of them, Andrew, that you just look at and you do genuinely feel that they're not happy. I don't know if you clocked that on Saturday. Cherney had a bit of a spat with Neil McCann on the touchline, and the two of them were finger wagging and pointing, and I think Barry Ferguson had to end up intervening, and you're like, well, what's going on? If you're a player, just follow instruction. And I don't want to sit and be having a go at any individual, but at the same time, the basic mistakes and the lack of form are what is becoming. It's beyond embarrassing now. You just look at it and think, come on, this is Rangers you're playing for. Man up. Be physical. Win your battles. None of them are winning any battles, Andrew.
Yeah. I think you're seeing just a lack of willingness to fight for the jersey. And I mean, I'll give a lot of credit to Barry Ferguson because he didn't mince his words after the game. He could have absolutely thrown the players under the bus and didn't do that, but he did make it very, very clear that it's just not the level that's required from this team. And you're just saying, unfortunately, this team reverting back to the norm where there's no real leadership on the park. Some of your key players, Butland, are just making mistakes. Butland's got to the point where he's throwing a goal in every game now. And that's really disappointing. I don't know if Liam Kelly's the answer. Certainly the next 3 games are probably not the ones that you'd want to be throwing a player in to try and make a good impression. So it's just a crap situation we find ourselves in where effectively we know that domestically our season's done. But nonetheless, I don't think that absolves the players from their responsibilities. You know, they're there to play football. They're there to win games of football. If you're going to play for Rangers, we're not seeing it.
No, and if you look at the 2 goals that we've conceded in the first half, the absolute mess that we've made of it ourselves is pathetic, Andrew. You know, there's multiple errors in the first goal. I mean, Butland's mistake is just pathetic. I mean, it is like a pass back that he's managed to punch out straight to the player. But Tavernier makes a bad mistake. Dessers makes a mistake before it. There's nobody tracking Robin Proper's being Robin Proper and playing the boy onside. You know, there's just no urgency, no determination. Second goal, as we know, you have to just a few minutes before I think the boy's name Sparrow had cut in behind him and nearly scored before that, and he just doesn't even bother tracking him. And look, Andrew, we've said it over and over again. We've just conceded the same type of goal all season, and what Barry Ferguson did say, we'll come to the Fenerbache game, but he said if you play like that, you'll get thrashed. Yeah, and we will, because I've watched Fenerbahce a couple of times this season. I watched their home game against Anderlecht. I watched another one earlier on the season. I can't remember who it was. They're a good side, and particularly at home. They'll come at us for 90 minutes, and I have no confidence whatsoever in this team being able to handle it. Sadly, I don't want to, sugarcoat or BS this a bit, that we are nowhere near capable. So it's going to take a massive, massive upgrading the level of performance that we've had. So,
I think, we can look at the personnel that we've got in defence there. We've got 2 left backs playing, we've got a right back playing at centre back, and we've got the one centre back who we've said all season doesn't suit Scottish football. So it's not a good looking defence on the face of it, but we bring in Leon Balogun for the second half. The defence maybe looks a little bit better. How much of that is just down to Motherwell dropping off and going, we've got 2 goals and I don't think they can break us down twice, let alone 3 times. Our defence was toothless. It really was. Tom Lawrence coming on at halftime for Hamza Gaman, I don't think was ever going to make a difference. Danilo comes on 75th minute. It does little bits, but not enough. We obviously do get the goal from Cyril Dessers back, but again, there's been the normal debate afterwards about that second goal. Should that have counted? Should it not? I think if we manage to draw that game 2-2, I feel like we've stolen a point from Motherwell. I really do, because we did not play well enough to justify getting even a point, let alone 3. And that's the honest truth. Like, we played abysmally. We've got no right to be demanding that we get points for that. And frankly, the idea that, if we'd only got that goal, then things would have counted. That was a goal that was really coming out of nothing. And Dessers does do well to finish it, but he's been, having a surprisingly decent run of form. It's just unfortunately coincided with the rest of the team being absolutely dog shit. So it's really difficult to give too much praise there, but it's just a depressing state of affairs that we find ourselves in, where this team just are continually finding new ways of letting us down.
Yeah, and as I say, you look at it, that's 3 home defeats in a row. Queen's Park, St Mirren and Motherwell. That should never happen. Frankly, it should never ever happen, Andrew. And again, as I say, I'm just at a loss to. But put it this way, I'll agree with you on. I think if we had the goal stand, I don't think the goal should stand. To be honest, I know there's a bit of debate, but I don't think there's any touch there. I don't think it's the Motherwell player that plays the ball. But anyway, the point being, whether it is or isn't, I totally agree with you. I thought the first half we were just bullied, ragdolled about the pitch, manhandled, men against boys, all these cliched, phrases that you want to, you can throw at it. We were just second best all over the pitch. And yeah, we've got a goal back and we huffed and puffed, but it's just not good enough, Andrew. And, we can, for want of a better way of putting this, Andrew, you and I could sit and talk about this for half an hour and we're just going to repeat ourselves over and over. It's just not acceptable. And, I actually, as I said at the start there, I actually feel a little bit for Barry Ferguson. I think he's just genuinely stunned at what he's seeing, the level of player we have and the level of performance that they're capable of.
Yeah, and I think, to be clear, I don't think this standard of players absolves Philip Clement. I don't think it's a case of, no, he's actually a class manager. These players are just really crap. I think both can be true. I think Philip Clement wasn't up to the task. And I also think this squad of players is far below the standard that we need. And Barry Ferguson said himself in the post-match, there are players here who are better than they're showing. And that points to, something else that's going on there, whether it's a case of adding in better players around some of these guys to improve the standard, whether it's a case of taking some of these players out, giving them a rest, or frankly, removing them from the team entirely. I don't know what the answer is there, but certainly the level of football that we're putting on right now is not going to be good enough for the next 3 games. Doubleheader against Fenerbache and then the Old Firm as well, away from home. But then we've been winning away from home, so, maybe we go on and do the business there. These players have certainly pulled out the occasional surprising performance before, but I've got to be honest, I'm probably not betting on it. Let's look ahead then. We've got Jose. We're away in Turkey, 5:45 kickoff. I'll be in the pub. So, I'm going to have a good time regardless, Kenny, regardless of what's happening. It certainly wouldn't be the first horrifying match I've watched in the Bermondsey Beer Killer. So, got vivid, unfortunate, horrible memories of watching Liverpool score far too many goals past us. Well, left said to the guys I was on the table with, don't let them score. They came back and Liverpool had scored twice. I was like, lads, what's happening here, So we know how bad things can possibly get. As ever with these European fixtures, it's a case of trying to keep the tie alive, take it back to Ibrox, because recent form aside, I do think when we get a team back to Ibrox that we can always pull out a result, especially in Europe. But it's a question of if we can be organised, if we can be strong enough when we go away to Turkey to try and keep ourselves in this tie.
Well, first things first, mate. If our mutual friend Tom is in the pub with you, say hello to him from me. Wish him all the best. And listen, you're absolutely right. I'll probably get less fear about going to play Fenerbahce in Istanbul than I have about playing Motherwell on Saturday there, which is bizarre. Because I did go to the game full of fear. I was not fancying us at all on Saturday. But look, you're absolutely right when it comes to the game on Thursday. What we have to do there is hopefully, find a team that's capable of 100% commitment for 90 minutes plus. That would be a bonus and a surprise for a start, because we're not seeing that at the minute. But yeah, this team seems to want to pick and choose its games, and I can pretty much guarantee that when they're in the short window against Fenerbahce, that is the type of game that they will revel and relish and revel in playing in. And look, that you're absolutely bang on, as I say, Andrew. The objective on Thursday is to go there, weather a storm, because it will be. Trust me, I've watched them. They're a good side, mate, and they will come at us and try and kill this tie off. But they'll have Jose Mourinho will have watched our performances at home of late and say, actually, it doesn't really matter because we'll go there and hose them as well. And I'm making light of it, Andrew, but that is just the way I'm feeling at the minute. I'm just, what a mess this is. What an absolute shambles. And yeah, if we can keep the tie alive, how insane would it be, Andrew, if we managed to get through this and find ourselves in the quarter-final of the Europa League with this outfit that we have at this minute in time? It would mystify me how we've managed to do that, but it epitomises everything that's wrong with the football club at the minute, that we've, for whatever reasons, decided we're going to build a team that will be fairly successful on a European level, and utterly incapable of domestic football and, competing at all in domestic football in truth. So, yeah, keep the tie alive. That's what I'm looking for.
It's all we can do. And, I mean, we don't have the distraction of a weekend fixture as well because, we've been 4D chess here and got ourselves cleverly limited from the Scottish Cup so that we could focus on this European tie. I think... And it's the weird thing about this team as well. Like, Robin Proper scares the bejesus out of me in domestic games. But in European games, he's looked really comfortable because that's where he's better suited to play football. So I've ironically got less concerns about the defence in that tie than I do, come the domestic games back home. It's going to be, I mean, as ever, when it comes to Barry Ferguson's teams, interesting to see how we try and set ourselves up. I mean, Barry managing Rangers in a Europa League fixture. I genuinely never thought I'd see the day, but here we are. And it's as ever. I mean, this is the last thing we've got to play for this season. So you would like to hope that the players would go in, put the effort in. As you say, Kenny, they may have other motivations for going out and putting in that extra 10% for this particular game as opposed to any others. So we can only be hopeful that that the boys decide to pull out a better performance, but we'll certainly see what happens come 5:45 on Thursday. Just quickly then to update folks on the latest with the takeover. You may have seen that me and Stevie covered this a little earlier. We had news from Sky Sports that the takeover deal was confirmed, that the consortium are looking to acquire a 51% stake. Again, a lot of this stuff was rumours that we'd already heard, Kenny, but it was finally being confirmed that this is the general, that the rumours that we'd heard are actually the plan that's they're looking to go ahead and implement. And as we were saying just before we came on the air, it can't really come soon enough now because the club's in a serious need of a shot in the arm.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. The sooner the better, Andrew. And I think they're now talking about it'll all be done and dusted by June, which kind of suggests May to me. By the end of the season, this will happen. So I would love it to be a smooth transition from the end of this season straight. Almost literally the next day, the new guys are in, and what a job they've got in their hands, Andrew. And I'm delighted that it's at that stage. We'd heard, as well as I do, we had heard that it was at the due diligence stage the other day, and as I mentioned, I can't remember what night it was, but I was on about 40 times last week, so it was one of them. But I literally had said that we are in a situation now where when you look at it, we have literally all of the major shareholders kind of agreeable on this, and we are at that point now where when you add it all up and you consider what we're getting told, I heard you on earlier on talking about everybody else on Twitter telling us that this can't happen, this isn't going to happen. Well, it is happening, and look, it's difficult to sit there and overly criticise people that have put their own hands into their own pocket and dug out and helped to fund the football club over the years, but this is now at a stage where you can just tell. I read Joshua Barry earlier on, and he said something about how empty and just devoid of anything that Ibrox is at the minute, and it's just time for change, Andrew. And I don't really know what else you can say about this, in the sense that the quicker it comes, the better, Andrew, and we can all move on. Two things that I would very quickly say about it. One is that, Leon Balogun has said that, about the lack of accountability after, performances from players. That is a major concern.
Yeah.
And I hope that Barry and his backroom staff are actually weeding that out, so that when it comes to this transition, they can turn around and say, by the way, you want to get rid of so and so. And the other one is, if I'm going to be perfectly blunt about it, somebody that seems to get, I wouldn't say a free pass, because we've been a wee bit critical at times, but Niels Coppin, I just genuinely don't know how he's escaping any kind of criticism here. When you look at our squad, we are absolutely not designed to play domestic football. And he's been here for a year and a half, and we've made a number of signings, and very few of them look like they're capable of playing in the Scottish Premier League, Andrew. Yeah. So that is one of the first things that's going to need addressed. That the scouting, all these things that, help you build a decent football team, Andrew. That has to happen. The rest of it will all take care of itself over time. But to a bright new future is what I'm looking for, with a professional, bunch of people that are going to run our football club properly and hold people accountable for the mistakes they're making, because this has not happened for years, and it's the most frustrating thing. And I'm biting my tongue half the time here, because I just want to shout and bawl about this, because we are in a mess, Andrew. We are.
Yeah, I think obviously me and Stevie spoke about it in a bit more detail, but I think the thing that was most exciting for me is that it's an opportunity to bring this club forward into the 21st century, to operate like a proper business, to operate like a proper modern football club as well. And I mean, I don't think it comes at the expense of any of the culture or the history around the football club. We're always going to maintain that element, but it's an opportunity to stop acting as though it's still the 90s. Because I think there's got to be a recognition that, we have to embrace where Scottish football is as a whole at the moment, just where it sits in the league structure across the world. But there's a reason that these guys are wanting to invest money, and it's because it represents an opportunity. There's constant rumours now about European Super League and everything else, and we will be included in that conversation, just because of our history, where we are, the size and stature of the club. So they're not getting into it for nothing. They are getting into this because they see the potential, and that's the exciting thing for me. Is because there's potential within Rangers to be much better than we are right now, and to aspire to even better things. And so you've got to be hopeful that takeover helps enable that.
Yeah, exactly. And look at it this way, Andrew. I had tried to explain this to somebody a while back. Excuse me, and bear with me. That the San Francisco 49ers enterprise and Andrew Kavanagh seem to be getting Rangers for just over £100 million. I think is the kind of price that is kind of being quoted. And if you look at us and over the last few years and the chaos we've went through, and as you say, it is a football club that is effectively stuck in the 90s, I feel, at the minute. But, in terms of the mindset, that's what we are, and that's what we aspire to be again. And I mentioned it the other week there, that my son has said to me that while we went through all this chaos over the last 10, 15 years, football moved on very, very quickly and left us behind, and we have to catch up. And he's bang on, actually. He's absolutely bang on in his assessment of that. But what I would say to you, Andrew, is that we've been told for years from our rivals across the city that they're cash rich and they're this and they're that. And they're a very well run club. There's no debating this. We're not going to sit here and slate this mob right, because we've no right to. They're doing things right and we're not. Now, the thing about it is that they're also telling us that they're valued at 250, 300 million pounds. And well, if you actually analyse where they're at, they're beginning to tap out and cap out. If you understand, they can't get any bigger. Whereas for an investor, Rangers are prime for expanding and growing and making successful. And if you're paying, say, 100 million and you put 100 million pound out in total over a period of X amount of years, you'd probably expecting your valuation to be 300-400 million pounds, Andrew, by the time they're finished. That's where they're probably intending on making their money. And that can only be good for us as fans to see our football team and the infrastructure and the footprint round about the stadium and the team on the pitch and the commercial department and the sponsorship deals and everything that's going to come with it can only improve us, make us bigger, make us more successful, make us more professional. All these things that we are crying out for, having endured this season.
I think you're right, Kenny. I think you cut out just a little bit there with the old internet, but I'm sure I get your general point. We basically something needs to change right now because what has been happening can't endure. The way that things have been going, the way that things are, isn't sustainable. We know that these guys have got ambitions to grow things, to make changes, and that can only be positive for us. It's probably going to need a bit more money on the season tickets, but I'm still boycotting them anyway, so be fine for me. Kenny, as ever, mate, it's a pleasure to talk to you. We will, of course, keep folk up to date with the very latest coming on from Rangers. Make sure you're following, like, share, subscribe. Stevie, unfortunately, has discovered that we can do breaking news podcasts, so he wants to do them. The second, we'll announce, strip numbers or something like that for the next one. But we will keep you guys up to date with the very latest that's coming out of Rangers and all the news around the takeover as well, because that's probably going to be the sole source of positive news coming out of Rangers for a little while, unfortunately. But we will keep you up to date regardless. And as ever, we thank you so much for tuning in, for watching. Kenny, I want to thank you again, mate. Always appreciate it.
Not at all. And I heard you two talking about torturing me at the Black Rooster, and I wasn't very impressed, mate. Yeah. And as I say, if we can get somebody to do an after-match pod with me, we'll do that. If you're not going to be available, you're going to be under the weather slightly. And
tired and emotional, I believe the phrase is.
Yeah, emotional, yeah. And if we can't do that, then Steve and I might do something beforehand. We'll wait and see. But
regardless, regardless, we'll be back with you guys on Friday.
Yeah.
Sure.
And listen, Andrew, thank you very much. This isn't the first time you and I have sat and done these pods, is it, on our own? But
it's weird that the volunteers sort of dry up after losses. It's mysterious, that. Anyway, folks, we'll be here. Someone from Full Lads will be here at least to keep you guys up to date. And joining the YouTube channel now. I don't know why, because I think all you get for that is you can do little stickers of Stevie's face in chat, which is great, obviously. But hey, you're throwing money into the YouTube. It helps support us, and it helps us grow as well. Helps us, do more. So we thank you for that. As I say, hopefully we'll be back with you on Thursday. If not, we'll talk to you again on Friday, unless there's more breaking news. But until we talk to you again, bye for now.
Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, along with Art of Gold. Thank you for listening or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.